Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rahmat Faisal Hidayat from International Relations 2019 University Muhammadiyah of Yogyakarta. In this opportunity, I want to presentations my paper. The title is The Influence of Patriarchal Culture in Indonesia in International Relations Perspective. In this part is abstract. Abstract is like a simple text that you can read as understood almost all of my paper, but just a little understand. The abstract number one in my journal is patriarchy has become an ancestral culture in Indonesia. The culture comes from Belanda and Japan when war in Indonesia. Number two, equality gender is a must that must be met because this is not difficult thing. People must do something to make all people feel justice without gender inequality. Number three, the study aims to determine the perspective of IR student. In this research, we want to know how IR student perspective about patriarchy culture in Indonesia. Number four, the study uses a qualitative method. Researcher, this article do interview to student IR to get the answer. Number five, international relations students have two perspectives, agree or disagree. In this article, IR students have two choices to get more reactions. Their participant just choose agree or disagree. In this part is introduction. In these introductions, I start explanations with the meaning of patriarchy. Patriarchy is a social system that places man as the highest authority. In this social system, women become a person who is disadvantaged because not all rights in life can be fulfilled. The patriarchy system causes, number two, the patriarchy system causes gender inequality between men and women. Inequality between men and women make nothing justice between there. Number three, patriarchy has existed since the Dutch and Japan colonial times, where women were used as serfs and servants of lust. This is the history of when patriarchy come and to be a culture in Indonesia. Number four, as a result of the habit that occurred, patriarchy has not only become a social system, but has become a culture in Indonesia. Right now, a lot of our actions have meaning patriarchy, but we never realize that. Like, we never look if woman is a strong person ever in this world. Number five, the last. Currently, the patriarchy culture is still happening, even though there are many movements that voice for women's rights. Next is research questions. In this research questions, I have two questions that to be what inside my research. Number one is, what are the student view regarding the whispered occurred of patriarchy culture and its influence? Number two, what are the forms of patriarchal culture in Indonesia? Next is, this part is literature review. Number one, patriarchy is principally based on paternalist understanding. A lot of people not understanding what is paternalist. Paternalism is a social system that the existence of father or a man becomes a phenomena that determines the realizations of the functionalism. Number two, patriarchy appears in the social system because of culture factors that give birth to the number of the view of men being in class. In patriarchy system, men have a highest positions in social life. That is number one of the highest. Next is number three. Women are the most disadvantaged figure in this patriarchy. Why? Because woman in patriarchy system is a weak persons in this world. That's why women really disadvantaged in this patriarchy. Next is number four. The patriarchy culture still exists today, although there are many who voice the feminism movement. Patriarchy still exists today, and a lot of people doing a movement to get a change for the woman. But patriarchy still exists until right now because that is a culture. That is to be a culture in our life. Next is number five. The impact of patriarchal culture in Indonesia, the occur of sexual cautions. This is the example of impact patriarchy to women as a shape of disadvantage. Next is research method. In my research method, I use some category like the research method used in the research in is qualitative method. Number two, selected respondent have passed related to certain criteria. Number three, research will be conducted using interview. Number four, interview were conducted using WhatsApp and Zoom media. And number five, answer from respondent will be narrated. Will be narrated because to give easy way to understand to the reader in my journal. This part is data presentation. Almost my respondent agree with my questions. The question is, the respondent who disagree with the patriarchy actions that are still happening today. 4 from 5 respondent agree with my questions. 1 from 5 not agree because she said, no way, patriarchy is still happening today because it is the time to change our mind. If equality between man and woman must become true. The question number 2 is, do you agree that patriarchy actions are the reflections of their low view of certain group? Almost all participants agree with these questions. 4 from 5 responded in my interview agree with these questions. And again, 1 from 5 responded not agree with these questions. And he have a reason why he not agree. She said like, actually that is not true. Patriarchy comes from people who not open his mind, not from their who have low social reflections. This part is result and discussions. Most of the most of the principal participants agree with the interview. Number 2, 1 in 5 participants disagree with patriarchy still happening today. Number 3, 1 in 5 participants disagree with patriarchy due to its low group. Number 4, all students believe that patriarchy culture can be eliminated. Number 5, gender equality must be established for the sake of justice. The last is conclusions. The conclusions of my research is number 1, some IR students agree that patriarchal culture still exists today. Number 2, some IR students also agree that the patriarchal system is a reflection of the low social group. Number 3, all IR students emphasize gender equality for justice. Number 4, from another point of view, the government must firmly eradicate gender inequality for the sake of justice for individual private rights. Okay. Thank you for this opportunity that gave me time to explain my research about patriarchy in Indonesia. Sorry for all any mistake that I make, because perfections only belong to Allah. Thanks for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.